as Gorilla Grodd and his time-traveling Legion of Doom make their move against the Watchtower, it will be up to the most unlikely group of heroes to rise and challenge them. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Justice League Unlimited issue number 7, a continuation of the We Are Yesterday crossover, and find out what happens next together, shall we? So then, picking up directly where the last issue left off, Gorilla Grodd and his time-traveling Legion had sprung their dastardly plan decades in the making. They managed to take this even bigger, more unlimited Justice League completely by surprise, a fact of which I think a lot of readers out there were kinda confused. I mean, what makes this younger version of the Legion much more dangerous besides, more time to plan? Well, the answer might surprise you, Lord knows it did for me. It seems that their real ace up their sleeves is actually in the weapons they're using. I had assumed they were just regular old laser guns, but it turns out they're not. They're actually made from Airwave's own tachyon manipulating tech, meaning every time a hero gets hit with that, they get flung through time and space to somewhere completely unseen. It's actually kind of genius, and Grodd ends up gloating about this plan to the last Leaguer left standing, who turns out to be none other than Ralph Dibny, the Elongated Man. As Grodd says, there was way too many powers and way too many invulnerabilities to account for, and as such, he just ended up creating the perfect catch-all weapon. One that out of a massive level of disrespect, he decides to not use on Elongated Man at all. Oh no, he doesn't deserve to freeze to death during the Ice Age or get shot by cowboys in the Wild West. Instead, Grodd and the Legion decide to take their time and just whoop poor Ralph's ass the old-fashioned way. Geez, first Plastic Man disappears and turns into spaghetti in a black hole a couple issues ago. Now all of this is happening to Elongated Man. What does Mark Waid have against stretchy boys? And if you're like me, you're probably thinking, hey, didn't Sinestro shoot the younger time-traveling Superman, Batman, and Dick Grayson in the last issue with the same gun? Yes, he did, meaning they're not dead. They're just completely lost in time with no way to get back. The Speed Force isn't doing the trick. Hal's Green Lantern ring is running on empty, and Power Girl can't even just punch the walls of space and time to get them back where they need to go, because Grodd already thought to deplete all the chronal energy in the past before he ended up making the jump to the future. Of course, the question now becomes, now that Grodd and the Legion have defeated the Justice League and chased them out of their tower, what exactly does the evil mad science simian actually want? Well, it seems that this has all been part of a much bigger plan to try and gain access to the Omega Rift housed inside the Watchtower, aka that weird hole that got torn open in time and space by the supposed death of Darkseid. Of course, he didn't really die, he just went and created the Absolute Universe, but they don't know that yet. Hell, Grodd's plan was so thorough, not only did he plan to defeat any combination of heroes, he also planned for when Lex Luthor would inevitably get cute, get greedy, and try and steal the power for himself. Grodd actually cooks up a whole story about how, oh, this is the last chunk of Apocalypse. It's a rock that we need to siphon off power from the Omega Rift, and when Luthor grabs it himself, the rock ends up blowing up in his face, taking out one of his eyes. Well, geez, that'll teach you to grab another man's rock while he's villainously monologuing now, won't it? Yes, it seems like Grodd covered every single base you could possibly think of, but the one person he underestimated is the one person who will ultimately undo him. Of course, I'm talking about Airwave himself. Remember how I said those time guns Grodd and his people were using were based on Airwave? Well, I didn't actually know it went as deep as this. They're not only based on his design, but they are literally powered by him. Meaning that when Grodd shot him a few issues back, he didn't actually die, he just became pure energy. And now he's actually speaking through time and space to try and rally the rest of the Justice League to believe him and give him a chance to make up for his wrongdoings. And after a little cajoling, they ultimately agree. In fact, they all end up completely supercharging Airwave with kryptonite heat vision, Speed Force powers, the Cosmic Staff, and even Black Lightning's own electricity to give them the juice he needs to help them get back home, and not a moment too soon either, as Grodd ends up exiting the Omega Rift, imbued with even more power, a fancy new Omega symbol on his head, and also no clothes. I mean, it makes sense when you stop and think that Grodd's whole plan from the beginning is just to usher in a new age of ape dominance. So sure, why not abandon your clothes and return to Monk indeed? It's at that very moment Airwave makes the scene, and he's not alone either. He's actually come packing a whole brand new team of heroes from across time itself. There's some familiar faces in there like Jonah Hex, Abin Sur, heroes who could probably only exist in alternate timelines like Terry McGinnis, the Batman Beyond 90s hook-handed Aquaman, Batman from Year Zero, and even one uber deep cut in the form of Ultra Ace Arm, which at this point I think is just Mark Waid really showing off his deep treasure trove of DC lore knowledge. much. And so that was Justice League Unlimited issue number 7, everybody, and overall I had a lot of fun with this issue. Maybe not as much fun as the issue that preceded it. This one is actually buckling down and being a lot more serious, while the previous one was really having a good time being a comedy. I do appreciate that the event can do both, even if the story does end up feeling a little jarring sometimes depending on which individual issue you read. I'm glad that Airwave isn't dead. He was such a big part of the Absolute Power storyline. I think fans really started to like him and had their hearts broken when they realized that he was actually the double agent, so that fact that he has a chance to redeem himself, I think is going to make a lot of people very happy, even if the heroes trusting him again did end up happening pretty damn quick. In fact, that's probably my biggest complaint about this issue, and that is that everything happens at such a breakneck speed. I also kind of can't help but shake the feeling that maybe this whole storyline was actually meant to be a much bigger DC event and not just a crossover between two Mark Waid books. I mean, they basically set up a series of what were probably going to be tie-ins with different members of the League recruiting different heroes from across time. And speaking of, I love the major collage feeling of all the different heroes we do see recruited from across time. It also makes me stop and wonder, hey, Mark Waid, what does your timeline of the DC universe look like, and why did you pick the heroes you did? Overall, I think I feel comfortable giving this one a 7.5 out of 10. Not as good as the one that preceded it, still pretty solid. Interested to see how the whole thing shakes out in the big finale.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me and the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.